So how many of you have practiced whatever we did yesterday? I mean, scripting, Ajin, Easily, Nana.
I've not practiced it yet.
You haven't practiced?
No, please.
Okay. Okay, no problem. So today I already told you that, okay, today we will try to make this class very small. Okay, so we will do that. But before that, I just want to explain you guys about virtualization. So how many of you have an idea about virtualization already? Anyone? Anyone has any idea about virtualization? Ajuddin, have you ever heard about virtualization?
No idea. No idea.
Nana, you, Paisley, anyone?
Yeah, I think I have a little idea. Okay.
Sorry, somebody was saying something.
Yeah, I was trying to say I have a little idea about virtualization. So I think virtualization is a process where it's like a hypervisor where we can like put some instances on it.
That's correct. Anybody else has any idea about it? Just a minute, something wrong. Okay. I
So
think
you
you're
got me,
talking.
Harsh?
Sorry?
Yeah, I was talking about the virtualization. I said
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like okay, a hypervisor where you can host some instances on it, like on the ISO file that we got and the Ubuntu image, you know. You use the Ubuntu image and then you host it on the ISO file, which is a virtualization software. So on it and on the hypervisor, it can host several instances. So that's what I know about virtualization.
Yeah, that sounds good. Nice. So I will explain. Do you know about different types of hypervisors?
If I can remember, I think we have a virtual box and then we have the other one is it the virtualization software? How do they call it? Hyper V. Yeah, Hyper V. I'm missing up something. It's been long.
Okay. So I'll help you guys understand. Just because I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So I hope you guys are able to see the whiteboard.
Yeah, I can see the whiteboard.
Okay. So now let's suppose if we talk about the virtualization, right? If I talk about virtualization in simple language, so we have learned or we have seen VMware Workstation till now. Workstation, VirtualBox. Till since the time we have joined this class, we have understood this only about, we can say, what about virtualization. We have only worked on this VMware Workstation or VirtualBox, right? So, but virtualization is more than that. And why am I saying? Because virtualization allows us to run multiple operating systems on a system, on a, we can say, one physical device, right? So let's say, what is this simulated environment? How does it allow us to do that? Okay, let me draw a diagram. Okay, so when you're looking at this diagram, what do you guys can, I mean, think of this?
I think we have three operating system running on the hypervisor, on the on the virtual box, and the virtual box is like it's having a hypervisor, the host operating system, and the hardware. So these three instances, that is the guest operating system, and the three operating system are using all of these components from the hardware, the
Okay,
host operating system, and the hypervisor.
okay, that that's nice. So this particular thing, first of all, known as server virtualization, that we are trying to do virtualization of a server or of we can say hardware. We are creating. We have a hardware, right? Let's take an example of your laptop. So you guys had one laptop. In that you had Windows operating system installed. Okay, so when I got to know about this Windows guest operating system, so I told you guys that okay, we have to work on Linux. So then we came up with the idea that okay, yes, there is a thing named as virtualization. We can use this hypervisors to create multiple guest operating systems. Okay, so now this is we can say server virtualization. We are able to create it, but what is the key concept behind it? What is this hypervisor, right? So this particular thing, hypervisor, is known as software layer. This is not something hardware based. This is also a software based thing, right? Software layer that what that enables virtualization. Sorry, sorry. Okay. So now there are two types of hypervisor. There is type one, type two. This is bare metal, and this is hosted. So now, what do you guys think? What is the biggest difference between these two hypervisor? So this is type two, which I've drawn the diagram. This is type two. Now I will draw another diagram. Hardware hypervisor and guest OS. Type 1. Okay. Tajuddin, Leslie, anyone? What can you see? What is the difference here? Anyone? Joseph? Between these two diagrams, what is the difference?
I think that type one is not having the host operating system.
Okay. Do you think really this is possible? Or I've just drawn anything? Anyone? George, Joseph, Tajuddin, Nana, anyone?
Yes. Yeah. Can you increase the size of your screen a bit? Okay.
Just a second. Is it visible
Okay.
now?
Better. Better. Okay. So I'm seeing something similar. Okay. In type two, you have your guest up guest OS sitting on a host OS with a hypervisor intermediary, and then all of that is sitting on the hardware. So you need a hypervisor as well as the host OS. Okay. However, in type one, the host OS is not necessary. You have the guest OS sitting on the hypervisor, and the hypervisor sitting directly on the hardware. So, in other words, it has a self OS feature which enables it to communicate with the hardware for type one. That's what I'm seeing.
Yes, that's really well explained thing. So now what I'm trying to say, this these two softwares which I've seen is type two. For type one, we have VMware ESXi. This is also a free server, right? This is also a free software which you can try, but for that it requires a lot of configuration and everything. If we will have time, we will try to obviously do that in upcoming classes. Now this VMware ESXi directly sits on your hardware. It means just like you have installed Windows operating system on your laptop, you can install the hypervisor, which looks like a, we can say just a terminal based we can say operating system, which doesn't allow you to do much. But on top of that, you can create multiple operating system because it communicates directly with the hardware, right? Okay. So now think of this as a cloud computing part. Type one, this type two is for our, we can say local environments for our own sake, right? We can use this. But this particular thing has a broad picture because they don't need any they don't need any host operating system. It means I don't have to maintain any Windows operating system or thing like that. I directly have to install hypervisor and create multiple operating systems. So cloud computing, where let's suppose let's take an example of AWS or let's take an example of Azure. Any of these two service providers have their data center in XYZ location. XYZ location, right? This is the data center. I am on ABC location. Okay. What uh, I want to run a server which is a Linux based server. So I can do it. I can create it on by going on AWS portal or by going on Azure portal, right? If anybody has seen that kind of thing already, so they'll be able to relate it. So what I do, I just go and I create some instance, right? And I try using it. So what happened? I'm using guest OS, but its hardware is sitting in the data center XYZ, right? And it is and in that particular data center they are using this structure. On the physical hardware, they have installed a hypervisor which allows users to create multiple guest operating system. So you have to see this diagram like this from bottom to top. So this is layer one, this is layer two, and this is layer three. So it starts from bottom to top approach. Yes, Joseph, please ask.
So that I mean, from the way it looks, you need some kind of OS for you to be able to interact with the hardware. So that means the hypervisor in Type One has OS capabilities, right?
Yes, it has
Okay.
OS capabilities and it is very strong and it is very lightweight as well. It doesn't have much functionality to do. And to access this particular hypervisor, you have to have a client machine as well. Let's suppose client machine, this is hardware. You installed hypervisor. So to manage this hypervisor, you have to log in from another screen, or another system. That okay, you will manage this particular hypervisor from here. If you want to create multiple operating systems, right, everything will be done from here if you're doing manually. And cloud is like everyone on the, because that is publicly available, so everyone on the internet can able to connect from by paying some amount, and they can create instances on their data centers. So that is very easy to do. Okay, so you have to keep this structure in mind, this structure. Okay, so because whenever we are going to talk about cloud computing, whenever we are going to see that okay how we are able to create an whole server which doesn't exist in our we can say physical hardware, but still we are able to use it, that is only possible because of hypervisor. Okay, Anyone has any question?
Okay, sir.
Okay, touching George, Leslie, Nana. Anyone has any question? Please let me know regarding this. Anyone?
Excuse me. Which one is the most commonly used? Is it type one or type two?
Okay, so it has like different use cases. Let's suppose this one, which is required in a local machine, this type 2, right? This posted one. So this is everybody is using. Even you, if you want to create multiple operating systems in your laptop, you are doing it. And this is being used by multiple, we can say, cloud service providers, right? And we can say on-premises data center organizations. So everybody is using that. You can't differentiate that which one is using more because both of them have like different, we can say, use cases. It is like this one is like you are playing cricket at your home. You have or you are playing basketball at your home. You have a hoop and you place the hoop and you are throwing shots, right? But here, this is you are going to the basketball court and playing. We can say one-on-one match or three, right? So that kind of a match you are doing. So that's different, right? In home you can't play like you can't be dunking, you can't be playing really hard. But here, in this one, in the playground you can do many more things, right? So it's like that only. This is like you are performing at your home, and this is like you are on the internet, you're on the market where you can scale up and you can do big functionalities with the type one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So Joseph, any question? You see any question? Anyone?
No questions.
Okay. Basically, do you have any question?
No, I'm good. I'm just thinking of the example you gave, like going to a basketball pitch and having a basketball hook at your home. That was a good example. So
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So yeah, that is all about virtualization, right? And if somebody wants to experiment this type one hypervisor as well, that okay, Harsh, I want to see. So what you can do is we can find a workaround. And now what a workaround is? Hardware. Now you have host OS. You have your VMware workstation, right? So VMware workstation. What is this VMware workstation? Type 2. And here you can install guest OS, right? So in this guest OS, why don't we install VMware ESXi, which is the type 1 hypervisor? And then on top of that, you can create multiple operating systems just to check. It won't give you that much compatibility, or you can say thing, but still you can use it, right? So give me a minute. I'll share the link if on the weekend, if somebody wants to experiment, right? This ESXi server is free, everything is free, of course. So you can watch a YouTube video. You can, I mean, just the way we have installed Linux on the VMware, you can install here as well. I've shared the link into the chat. If somebody wants to download it, so there is an option download hypervisor.
I have this one. At my personal virtualized machine. I have this one set up ESXi.
You have ESXi set up already.
Yes.
Okay.
Right now I'm putting the Windows server on it, so that's really what it's for. And I used to have like Kali and all, and I wiped it out. And now I'm about to put a Windows 2019 server on the ESXi.
Okay, that's nice. So maybe on next class you can also show everybody because I want everybody to try that as well. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions still now, they can ask. Okay, I hope not. So that's pretty great. So Joseph, you want to learn Azure, right? You have enrolled in for Azure.
Yes. But my understanding is if we learn Terraform for AWS,
Yeah.
as maybe within a class or two, we can take the same templates and then deploy them on Azure in Azure environment. That's all I'm trying to see what it looks like, you know. And I even have templates if we can look at how we can deploy it on Azure. That's all. The little intricacies that you need to do for it to be deployed on Azure. That's all I want to see.
Okay. So, but so do you want to join these AWS classes only, which we are going to start from Monday?
I don't mind.
Okay. No, I mean you want to go for Azure or AWS because they're starting from
It's
Monday.
Azure. Really, I came here for Azure. But if you don't mind, I can come and help improve the participation ratio for you guys. It's up to you.
And can you eat sides?
Okay. 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 Sure. We can do that.